2414 is a podcast about finding hope and common ground through casual conversation. Like the friends on the road in the New Testament, in Luke chapter 24, verse 14, we want to walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. Thanks for walking with us.
Well, hello and welcome to 2414. My name is Shane Welter. Today, I'm joined by Pastor Dan
What's
Weber
up, Shane?
and Mr. Cole Ashbaugh.
Cole Michael Ashbaugh.
Cole Michael Ashbaugh.
That's right.
And thank you for listening and tuning into 2414, a podcast about finding hope and common ground through casual conversation. Today, we're beginning a new series.
Yeah, a little mini-series. A little short season.
Oh, so before we talked about our series was Marriage is Messy, and today we're talking about transition in life, whether that be, whether that be graduating, whether that be moving, whether that be who knows what. We're still figuring it out. But this is Transitions on 2414.
With Cole Michael Ashbaugh, the one and only.
Yeah. Play the cheering one.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
All right. Thank you.
So Cole comes in and we get applause. Somebody's talking the other day. They said the last time Shane gave the introduction, everyone just laughed at him immediately. And so you get what you get. We're just keeping it real.
Yeah. Thanks for not laughing as loud this time.
I tried to look away from the microphone as I shared my joy. Well, Cole, one of the things we try to do each time is share highs and lows, peaks and pits, or happy, crappy, things that are maybe hard, frustrating, discouraging, but also things that are good and worth celebrating. And our supplemental get to know you question today is favorite ice cream. So a low could be from the week or the day or the last 10 minutes of sitting here with me and Shane. A high, something that's going well, and favorite flavor of ice cream.
All right, this is going to be awesome. Okay, for starters, I woke up this morning, and today was the day I told my parents I was recording on the podcast.
Ooh, and kept it a secret?
Well, they knew I was, but they didn't know if that was in 2 months, if it already happened. So I was like, hey, I'm doing that today. And they were like, think of highs and lows. And I was like, oh, you're right. I have all day to think about that. Never thought about it once. So here we are.
That's what I do.
Let's see. Well, my high, and I'm time period, just what, recent life and recent things. Yeah, my high has been my relationship with my friends, especially last night has been amazing. Last night I gathered with some people from another church that I went to a youth group with a couple years back, pre-COVID and all that, and talked about my faith outside of Sunday mornings.
How was that?
Awesome.
That was new for me. It was it was a crazy experience, because it wasn't just, oh yeah, I believe this, I believe that, but it was more like, I struggle with this, I struggle with that, this is hard for me. And just being validated by everyone else saying, like, yeah, that's really hard. And we go, no. So I'm not like the only one failing at everything. And just kind of nice to have people, mostly older than me, but just people around my age range being like, yeah, like that's hard. And that's, so yeah, that's a definite high, is friendships that I've built in the last little while.
I love, Cole, that your high is sharing things that were hard. Like, among other things, like your time with friends and talking about faith. But that sounds like the time with friends in a community of faith is certainly an awesome thing. But the substance, what you were rallied around, in part at least, was processing hard, maybe even vulnerable things. And on the other side of that, with people you love, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's just, it's an experience that, not that I've maybe never had, but I haven't in a long time. I think ever since I've left and I, kind of got older than youth group, and I've lacked kind of people around my age that have the same beliefs. And some of my friends do, but not all of them do, and that's life. But it was very, very refreshing to just have that feeling that everyone around me feels the same, believes the same things, and can understand and talk about it. So that was very nice.
That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah. It's very like freeing thing too, just to be like,
Oh, seriously.
stuff you've been thinking about forever. Like, who do I share this with? Like, there's something is really comforting. Like someone your age is like, because you have similar memories of like, it's the same generation. So
Yeah.
you can relate about a lot. And it's nice when you can actually get those questions out. Like, oh yeah, you've been thinking about this too. And oh, nice. Yeah. I feel that.
Let's go with my low, my crappy. I'd say, and I'll get a little more into this later, but career path struggles and just what to do with my life. I'd say in the last month has been especially hard on me because I've really recently started feeling like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to turn 20. Like I'm turning 20 in a couple months.
So
I was like,
old, Cole.
but it's just like, man, time is moving and it's not going to stop for me. So I need to go. So that's been hard on me. And obviously, like I said, I'll dive into that a lot more later, I'm sure. But so I'd say that's that's been dragging me down a little bit.
Yeah, if anything, it accelerates.
Yeah.
I was going to say that. I
Yeah.
was like, as someone who's only like 4 years older than you, like, man, like 4 years have flown by.
Yeah. And it's just this hard thing of sometimes I'll look back on like maybe the past month or the past couple weeks and I'll be like, did I do anything to like progress myself in life? Or have I just been sitting here and like just repeating everything over and over again? And so that's kind of been my little mental struggle for the past month or few weeks or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting that we're talking about transition today, and we'll get into some graduation stuff. But one of the things I heard you just say was you're reflecting on the fact that nothing has changed, and that's a different kind of hard. Like you're just almost in a routine, a rhythm, and not progressing. So kind of a static, unmoving state has challenges that go with it, just like transitioning and moving from one thing to the next, like also has challenges with it.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I definitely feel that, especially coming. Yeah, we'll get into it.
We'll
But
get into it. I want to hear his ice cream flavor first.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Right.
You
And
could have a couple if you want.
you couldn't have asked a better question because I'm going to destroy this one.
in a good way.
Not a competition.
Oh no.
Yeah, don't hurt the equipment. This was not cheap.
Anyone who knows me very well already knows exactly how this question is going to go. I am an anti-ice cream person. I am.
Which one is it, Shane?
There you go.
No, not the green button.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the show today. Thanks for coming. This has been 2414. I'm Pastor Dan. We'll see you next week.
I have never been an ice cream lover. I always pass for a lot of other things.
Okay.
I love cake. I love brownies.
What is it about ice cream you hate?
What's wrong with you is what he's asking.
Well, jeez.
Okay, I'm a very picky eater. There's like one thing I don't like, but it happens to be in a lot of things. I don't like anything with like a creamy texture.
Okay.
I like substance in like things I eat.
What about like cake frosting?
Frosting? Yeah, okay, frosting's the same way. I don't like really like whipped thin frosting. I like my mom makes
Like
this
thick?
My mom makes this thick frosting that doesn't crunch.
Yeah.
But it's just got more like texture and more like form to it. I love that.
Huh.
All right. Well, if nothing else, we've demonstrated that this is an accepting place where all are welcome, and we're not judging. We're not making right or wrong decisions. We're just hearing people's experiences, even if they happen to be wrong.
And 1 week, Carl Church hates pizza.
Gosh.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
He did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we haven't spoken since.
He's not invited back. No.
That's why the chair's empty today. Cool. Well, all right, Cole. This is tough, but we're gonna get through it, and I'm still glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad I can walk with you guys through this conversation.
All right, Shane Michael Welter, low, high, favorite ice cream
You have the
flavor?
same middle name as me?
It's not Michael.
That was a joke.
Sorry, I don't.
Hear me.
it's
Hear
fine.
me.
It could have been. It sounded good.
Yeah, it
is.
did.
You can change your name.
You said it with such confidence and authority, like you knew what you were saying.
He does that a lot, but no. My brother's middle name is Michael. My dad's name is Michael.
That's probably what I was thinking.
Yeah, of course. Either way, lows. Easy low. The Milwaukee Bucks have been eliminated from the 2022 playoffs.
This episode's gonna be long.
But yeah, I'm an avid, huge Bucks fan. I'm all Wisconsin sports fan. Anything Wisconsin sport related. But the NBA Milwaukee Bucks definitely takes the that's what I'm most passionate about. So it was bitter. It was hard. I am sad. But either way, go Brewers. Is Lauren and I went to Canada last weekend. We were in Vancouver. That was exciting. First time in Canada.
Ever. Even though you were in Wisconsin?
That's what everybody says, but there's still Minnesota above, Minnesota and Michigan separating us from Canada. So we don't even border it, which is crazy to think. Yeah. Yeah. So first time in Canada. Other things, hi.
What was the most stereotypical Canadian thing you experienced?
Well, that's what was surprising. Vancouver was nothing that I was expecting at all. It was like Seattle 2. It was
no moose.
Yeah, no moose. There was one stand that had maple syrup on it, and I was like, cool. I bought some, and I'm like, yay. That was it.
Okay.
Apart from that, I guess, yeah, I didn't even see anything like hockey related, really. It was weird. I was not expecting. It was just a really big city, and I think I was expecting more small town. But either way, it was cool because we were in Vancouver, and it was kilometers and not miles. That's what
crazy
shook me the most. I told a friend was driving from across the border, and she was like, how do I know kilometers? Like, it's actually on your speedometer. You can it's the tiny numbers. Yeah. If you have an old fashioned speedometer and it's got the tiny numbers on the inner ring, that's the kilometers.
By old fashioned you mean like analog, a physical
needle that moves.
I like to call that old fashioned.
Look, my car it's weird. It has like the digital numbers for.
Yeah, see, I was gonna say that my car is 2005. I've got the needle, but like my parents' car, for example, like my mom's, it has a screen that has just like the number on it of how fast you're going.
Oh yeah.
Like, okay. So how would you survive?
I think there's a setting in there. I don't know.
She'd live. Just follow the traffic.
Just go fast. I think they all ride horses or something in Canada. I'm not sure.
Yeah. When we went to Gleaners, now I'm going back to 7th grade. So ages ago,
way back.
Ages, yeah. Back in my day.
There it is, man.
All right.
Yeah, we saw police officers on horses, and that was one of the most fascinating things.
The Mounties.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, look at them go.
So that's what I want to see in Canada.
Yeah,
police on horses.
And I was so close to correcting you, saying I was going to say, no, you've been to Hoona, you've been to Canada, but Alaska and Canada are different, and I struggle with that.
Sadly,
they're different.
I miss that sometimes.
Yeah. Oh well.
So you went to Canada, and the Bucks are out.
Yeah. So that was, I don't know. It was just cool because we went to Canada for the first time, so that was really cool. That was a high.
Okay.
For me.
Favorite ice cream?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I have a very fond memory of my childhood eating orange sherbet ice cream.
I like how you said it, Alex Trebek style.
Sherbet.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You got to be pompous about it. You put your nose up a little higher when you say it that way.
No. I'll say it mumbled because I don't know. I confidently do not know how to say the word.
I think you said it right. It's just a little pretentious. That's all.
Orange sherbet. Either way, I had a really good orange sherbet as a child, and it was really, I don't know. I'm still like craving that really good ice cream I had when I was like 2 or something.
Okay.
So I'd put that up there.
I don't remember an ice cream from a week ago, let alone, 15 years?
I remember Marionberry.
There you go.
All right. How about you? How about your highs, lows, and ice cream?
Low, I'm feeling fatigued, but it's related to some of my highs. I've been getting up earlier, which I've been running, which feels good. I'm a nicer person relatively when I run. And so I've been training more regularly, which means I'm getting up earlier, which means I'm tired earlier. So I'm kind of navigating that. So fatigue is my low, but my high, I've got several. I've been running more, which is awesome. The St. Louis Blues won in the first round of the playoffs. So that's exciting. I expect them to get crushed by the Colorado Avalanche, who are just a juggernaut of a team right now. So we'll see what happens.
St. Louis loves upsets, though. So
we're rooting for them. Other St. Louis fun moment is the St. Louis Cardinals recently defeated/crushed the San Francisco Giants, and it was such a blowout that they let Albert Pujols pitch an inning. So he's the designated hitter.
Basically, they let an old man.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an arm.
Yeah, he's played the 10th most games in MLB history, and this was his first appearance on the mound. And he gave up 3 hits and 2 home runs, but got all 3 outs. So it still went up winning 15-2 or something like that, 15-4. And then my other obscure high is this morning I went for a run and I saw a bird and I didn't know what it was. And so I described it to Dave, who I was running with, and he didn't seem that interested. And so I got home from my run, I rang the doorbell and I said, "Charlotte, give me my camera. I'm going to take a picture of this bird." It's like 7 a.m. She's like, "What?" It's like, "Go get my phone. I want to take a picture. There's a bird out here I want to get a picture of." And so she dutifully bought me my phone. I took a picture. I sent it to Dave. I was like, "This is the bird." He still didn't care. But I'm describing this to Charlotte. I'm showing her pictures. I got a video of this little bird. It's not a duck, but it's similar to a duck. It looked like a quail, but didn't have the funny thing on its head. And I approached it, and it ran away from me on my run. But then I got back from my run, and it came near me. It looked like it was going to charge. I backed up a little bit, and I was talking to Charlotte about this. She didn't really care either. And then my next door neighbor texted Charlotte and said, "Charlotte, there's a bird outside. It's really weird. You got to go check it out. I almost ran over it with my car because it wasn't moving." And I was like, "See, this bird is awesome." And so a lot of Googling later and apps. It's a chukar, Chukar, some kind of partridge. Looks like a quail, which I call dodo birds because they're silly.
Nice.
So that's my big high for the day. I saw a silly bird in the driveway.
I remember when you made fun of me a few episodes ago for
you
talking
made
about
up a bird. That wasn't even a real bird. I have a picture of mine in my driveway.
Okay.
That's fair.
I'm going to say something. My biggest takeaway from that whole bird story was, Charlotte, go get my phone. Because we're just in such an age of whip, snap, and just pull it out of your pocket and go. But it's run back home, go inside, get my phone. And it's like, well, that's just such a different. I don't know. That's such a different. I like that.
I didn't have my phone with me.
Yeah.
And I was afraid it was going to run away. Not fly away. I didn't see it fly at all. I saw it scurry.
Scurry.
But yeah, well, that's a good takeaway. You can live without a phone for a little bit. Yeah. Favorite ice cream? My first answer is not a real ice cream. It's a frozen custard. Ted Drew's frozen custard in St. Louis.
Oh, that
is incomparable in its goodness. Otherwise, flavors, I like them all. Pistachio, pineapple.
What makes that St. Louis custard so elusive to you?
It is the best. It's probably why I like it so much.
You're not being descriptive yet.
No, it won an award a few years ago, a worldwide award, the world's best ice cream. And everybody in St. Louis kind of rolled their eyes because it's frozen custard and not ice cream. But we accepted the award humbly anyway. I have nothing to do with it, but I like it so much.
You're part of it. Yep.
It's very rich and creamy. It's everything Cole would hate, and I love it.
Nice.
So we can still be friends.
Wonderful.
Oh, my.
Well, we should thank some of our listeners. Shane regularly shares some spider updates and
that's right.
giant house spiders. And so some of our listeners have really connected with that. So we have a number of posters that have been sent in, a book on spiders.
Serious?
We had some actual fan mail.
So Shane's been getting fan mail related to his phobia of spiders. So his office is now the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah, it's great. So everything up to children's kids books to a full-on poster, this is a wolf spider, this is a tarantula, cool, and it's in my office now.
Nice.
So we're really doing what we set out to do with the podcast. We're doing
That's our goal.
We're doing it.
Spiders. All right.
Well, today we get to hear from Cole. Cole, really, thanks for being here. I know you got a lot to do. This is awesome to hang out a little bit.
Yeah, no problem.
And our kind of umbrella is transition and just going through change in life. And one of the things that's behind our whole podcast is the fact that so much of our human experience is shared, in that a lot of people have very similar experiences, but it's also not shared. Nobody talks about it. So many people graduate high school, college. Well, now many people graduate pre-K, they graduate kindergarten, they graduate first grade. I had very specific graduations. They were years apart, but many people have lots of graduations. But some of those big milestone ones, you just sort of figure it out afterwards. And I don't know if your experience was different from mine, but for mine, I don't know that I was really prepared for what came after graduation and that sort of what's happening now. And so that's our goal today, is to talk about that transition from high school, out of high school, which in your case is also from high school into workforce, and navigating what that looks now. So just to kind of get a running start, what was high school like for you? Did you enjoy your time? Did you hate your time? Did it seem forever? What was Cole Ashbaugh's high school experience?
All right. Well, my high school before graduation, I'd say freshman, sophomore year were rough. Freshman, sophomore year, those first 2 years, at least the first half of sophomore year and all of freshman year, I was it was an adjustment. I had some, you leave middle school, at that point, you're probably on like the bigger end of people like in the school.
Are you talking about height? Because you're a tall person as well.
Oh, I wasn't.
Okay.
But but yeah, so you're on the taller end of people, and you get to high school as a freshman, and there's like ogres
with beards.
And yeah, I was just there's dudes with beards, and there's like grown people, and it's terrifying. But yeah, anyways,
so that's a transition on its own, going into high school.
Yeah, going into high school I was like, whoa, where are we?
So you're going from the ground up again.
Yeah.
Nobody knows you know nobody, and
I know, because it was so much bigger. My like 2 friends that I like really stuck with in middle school were so much harder to stick with, because I went to a fairly big public school, Stadium High School in Tacoma, and everyone's just so much more spread out. And so having like just those like 2 close friends, I'd see them in the mornings before we went to class, and then sometimes after school if we could meet before we got to our buses. But yeah, so it was hard. So I kind of had to start over a little bit, like Shane said, and kind of make new friends, and that was rough. I'd say the end of sophomore year, I really kind of found my people, and I actually met one of the people I was talking about that I hung out with last night to discuss my faith. I met him, whose little brother is in my age range, and so I just kind of fell into that friend group, and soon enough, I had a whole bunch of loving people around me, and junior and senior year were, for at least socially, junior and senior year were pretty good.
How did you meet your people? You said you found your people.
So yeah.
How'd you do that?
Yeah. So I decided to branch out a little bit. In my freshman year, I did nothing, no extracurriculars, no nothing. Just went to school, went home, did nothing for a few more hours, and went to bed.
So very vanilla.
Yeah. Towards the end of sophomore year, I was like, all right, I want to do something. I had been doing music. I got back into choir and all that, which I had done all through middle school. And I was like, all right, music is going to be, I'm not the fastest kid or the most athletic kid. So I was like, all right, music is probably where I'm going to be finding myself. So I auditioned for the school musical. And
which was
Guys and Dolls.
Guys and Dolls.
Nice.
Which was the most awesome show. Still my favorite show I've ever done to this day. There's something so cool about every guy up there in a cool hat and a tux. Just
when you get
fake gambling. It's great. But yeah, so I met my friend Josh there, who is very like-minded and is still one of my best friends to this day. And but he was 2 years older than me, so he graduated. I met him and he graduated 2 months later. So I was like, ouch. But he his little brother was in my class actually, and because I was a sophomore at the time. So I met him and rapidly became friends with him, and he just kind of took me under his wing into his friend group that have been friends since like 5th grade.
Wow.
And he was just like, hey, this is Cole. He plays video games too. He's going to play with us tonight. And that's what we started playing games together. And then we just started doing everything together, meeting after school for homework. And I kind of found my groove, and they just all kind of carried me through the rest of high school. So
That's awesome. What was your game back then?
That was great. What game we played? Well, we played, I think Fortnite and Minecraft were like the big ones when I was in high school. Right now, not so much, but
Minecraft Hunger Games.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Shane, what were your formative video games?
Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, and before that, Halo 3. Okay. Easily. Yeah.
I think my teenage ones, it was GoldenEye and Nintendo 64.
Oh, that game's awesome.
That still has
Mario, some of the first Mario Karts. Those are my high school days. I can go back to Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES, and talk about the least ergonomically designed controller ever. It was square, and your hands had blisters everywhere.
That's right.
The buttons cut you. You just play all day, and you couldn't eat dinner because your hands were just bleeding from the fingertips.
Hold it so tight.
Sorry, I digressed a little bit. Sorry. So Cole, first couple of years, finding yourself, trying to grow a beard, meeting new people.
I still can't.
Me neither. And then senior year, kind of turned around.
Yeah.
Found your people.
Yeah. So socially, everything worked out. However, the big aspect of school being the actual educational
school itself.
that I never figured out.
Okay.
And I always say if testing scores could carry me, I would have a brilliant future. However, my grades and the rest of the work and homework, I have this thing that I still have to this day. When I get home, like after work, or I get home after school, and I shut down. Like, I'm home. Yeah. This is where I relax. I'm in my room. I'm not supposed to do work here. I'm supposed to rest and all that.
That sounds beautiful, by the way. That sounds like a skill most adults struggle with, and that's like killing us because everyone's always on and they're just fried and checking email and always working. That sounds beautiful, Cole.
Yeah, it can be, but
still do your homework, by the way. If you're listening at home, do your homework.
Please do.
But when you're adult,
I did not.
Yeah.
I never did. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that was my biggest struggle. Was always getting my grades up because I would just never do homework. I rarely do homework, and then I'd like slam tests pretty well usually to just carry myself just enough.
Were you better at grade school with that, or was high school where it like dropped off?
Middle school is kind of where it started to drop off because that's where I started I could handle one class to remember homework for in grade school. Then I got 6 classes and was like, and I'm terrible at keeping schedules and notes and stuff and writing down who I have homework for. And so it's just like, do I remember? Not really. But did I try to remember who I had homework for? Not really either. So
also no.
So
lose situation here.
So no, I just never really figured that out, nor did I try to figure it out. So that wasn't the I didn't do that. But socially, I'd say high school was fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, all around.
So as you got past freshman, sophomore year, finding friends, finding extracurriculars, connecting, junior, senior year, graduation's probably on the horizon. I don't know if you're thinking that far ahead or if you're just trying to get through the day. But I remember junior year, people are already, at least in my experience, talking about what's next. Is it military? Is it college? Is it job? Were you thinking about those things junior, senior year? Or was it you threw away the hat with the tassel and you're like, what's next? Uh-oh.
Okay. It was a loaded question.
I didn't mean it to be loaded.
No, it's fine. Objection, compound.
Sustained. Next question.
So I'll start with the career thing. No. Not really.
He's just trying to pass the tests.
I was barely thinking about it at all. I was hanging out with my friends, and I was making sure I graduated. It's like taking it one step at a time.
Yeah.
I had some idea. I said, oh, maybe I should learn coding. And I tried that, and I was like, oh, this is really hard. And then I stopped. And then I was like...
You're better off learning a new language. Like,
it's the same thing. There's whole languages you have to type in, and it's like, what? Do it in English. But, hey, computer, run this program. But no, there's all kinds of symbols, and oh my gosh, that was...
So not coding.
But no.
Cross that one off pretty quick.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'll build computers or something, or I don't know. The one I stuck with a while was sound design. I wanted to do sound design and studio design, basically stuff like the setup we have.
You could switch seats with Shane if you want.
Please.
He won't let me push the buttons. Maybe he'll let you push the buttons. He is a guest.
That's true.
But yeah, we had a news program at school that I joined in on in my senior year, where we had we had a room like this, but one wall was painted neon green, and it was our news studio.
So you got a green screen.
And so once a week, instead of the morning announcements over the intercom, the teachers would upload their emailed video and show it on screen. It would be the news production, and I sat at the helm of the studio setup, kind of running everything, controlling everything, setting up. Cole, this is broken, fix it. Okay. But and that was kind of my thing. And I was like, wow, I could do this all day. It was like a class where I was like, man, I can't wait for third period. And I was like, cool. I want to go do that. Yeah. But I don't know where that ended. I kind of know where that ended. So this is why the other question was loaded, because you said throwing the tassel thing. A little context for my graduation.
What year did you graduate high school?
Yeah. So I'm a 2020 high school graduate.
Well, my 2020 grads at.
I don't remember what happened that year.
Yeah. So a lot of people hear 2020 and they go, oh no. Like, yeah.
Turns out that was kind of a pivotal time in your life.
Yeah. And in a lot of people's lives, but for me, it was, I didn't finish my senior year of high school, and I didn't drop out. We all, some of us got taken out. And so, in March 2020, I was my last day of school. Didn't even know it. Just a normal day of school.
Didn't even know it, yeah.
They said, we'll let you know this weekend if we'll be coming back on Monday. And then they called us and they said, all right, we're going to take 2 weeks. We're like, all right. 2 weeks later, we're going to finish the month out, see how things are. 2 weeks later, rest of the year's off. No graduation's off, prom's off, everything's off. And that was hard. As soon as they announced that school is out, pretty much out, I got my tennis shoes on and I ran to, a little more context. My main friend group that I met in the end of high school, they all live in walking distance. And by walking distance, I mean less than a mile.
Oh, that's nice.
So I put my shoes on and I, instead of, texting or calling everyone, I walked to my best friend's house. I knocked on his door and comes out. He's like, what? And I was like, we're done. It was like, we pseudo graduated. It was like, school is over.
We did it.
Yeah. I was like, this is it. And then we were all just kind of like, seriously? We're done? I don't even remember what we did on the last day. That's how bland and average it was. It was like, all right, here's your work for the weekend. Give it back to me on Monday from pretty much all my teachers. And then I never saw them again.
Wow. So was there something nice about, or was it an easier workload than it would have been, or?
Yeah, so they hadn't quite figured out online school yet.
Remote learning.
Yeah. Yeah. They hadn't, when my stepbrother is the year below me. He's a 2021 graduate. He was, to be fair, he was already in online school, but by his year, they had kind of had a system where they could do it. We were on emergency online school when I graduated. So, there were a lot of weird rules that got changed later on. For example, the biggest rule that I'd say pretty much defined what I did for the rest of the time was the teachers were not allowed to lower our grades. They could only raise them. And at the time, I had 2 classes that were not quite where I'd like them to be. Turned in about 3 like Word documents over email. Brought all my classes up to A's and B's. Never talked to my teachers again. They sent work out all the way till June. Never opened the email.
Wow.
I was like, you can't lower my grade. None of my friends, everyone, none of our whole class did. Some teachers just stopped giving work because. I mean, they couldn't lower, there was weird rules. They couldn't lower our grade. They hadn't figured out how to even, some teachers didn't even know how to use like Microsoft Teams yet. And so it was like, yeah, that was it. And we were done. So if we got out probably middle of March, I'd say middle of April, I was really done with school.
Drop my water bottle, sorry.
I'd say probably middle of April, I was really done with school. And that was like the last time I even like made contact with a teacher. And that was it. And so there was no like big ceremony, big send off, like you're going into real life to even make me feel like, oh, it's real life time. It was like slap in the face, real life.
They were just like, you're done. Welcome to adulthood. Yeah. Chew. Like
I know. And still barely real life because we were all locked in our houses for a while. So it was like still like half real life. And man, I'm gonna say the word that the transition was weird.
Yeah.
It was just so like off-putting, like, oh, so that's it.
As you're describing that, it sounds
anticlimactic.
Yeah, the word anticlimactic. The word I was thinking of was just like there's no closure. Like there was no. We did. I love how you described. I mean, it's sad, but how unremarkable that last day was, and not even knowing it was your last day, and it just sort of faded away. And no, you didn't say thank you to your teachers or goodbye to your friends. You just kind of stopped seeing people. That sounds very unsatisfying.
Oh yeah, seriously. Like there's a lot of people in high school that I'd say I was friends with or like on good terms with that I probably like, I would have, given them a hug, probably shed a few tears and talked to them and said goodbye because I was friends with them, but I haven't talked to them since because they're not, not everyone is people that I, was like really, really connected to like my core friend group was. And so it's just, I didn't get to say, well, see you in 10 years if we do a reunion or whatever. It was just kind of, I just didn't see them again, period. Yeah. So it was quite the experience. I'd say the first big step out of that for me was, so I lost at pretty much the same time. I'd say a month after school ended. The movie theater on Point Reston shut down, which was my place of employment at the time, my minimum wage job. And so that kind of got shut down at the same time too. So I was suddenly schoolless, jobless, sitting at home, couldn't really go out and see friends because they couldn't go out either. And like the like 5 or so friends that I still stick with to this day, like everyone was just kind of inside. No one wanted to touch each other. No one wanted to get close to each other at the time. And so, it was just, I don't know. It was sad. It was unsatisfying is a way I'd put it. It was very emptying. And sometimes I'd just, sit in my room for like days and just kind of be sad sometimes or kind of looking for something to do. And, so that was tough, but the first like really big step out of that was my current job, which I have been almost exactly 2 years, actually, I believe. It was mid to late May that I started working with my uncle and my grandpa at Lakeland Builders, building and remodeling houses. That started by maybe the seed was planted in their minds earlier, but for me at least, it started when one of my big boredom things was at the beginning of May. I was like, okay, I want to just, like, what I'm going to do to keep myself like entertained is I'm going to take all the furniture out of my room and rebuild it all from scratch.
Like rearrange?
No, like
or rebuild?
No, like rebuild. Like
Isn't just build it from nothing,
wood.
like wood and.
Yeah. So that's what I did, and that's the furniture I have now. So yeah, with help from my uncle, he helped me get materials and all that. We built my desk, my L-shaped desk in my room, and we built my bed, and I designed them, and I love it, and it works good. I just made everything. I measured everything out of my room, so I made sure that my L-shaped desk would kind of hit the side of my bed, so it acts as my nightstand as well. And I just made everything perfectly. I made it go perfectly under my windowsill. Everything how I wanted it. My other desk was too short for me, so I made this one taller, and just kind of a nice and such a rewarding feeling. I was like, man, I've done nothing for a month, and now I've like built something, and like I've done something, and that was like the best feeling I had had.
That sounds very satisfying.
Yeah.
So was there a tipping point from this life is just fading away to nothing and nothing matters and I'm not seeing or doing anything, almost like coming to a standstill to that sounds like a big undertaking of, all right, here we go, let's get to work and like actually get like think through work, but physical work. And
oh yeah, there was somewhere in there towards the end of that was definitely this like kind of emotional fallout. It was like, Mom, I don't know what to do. Like everything is over. I'm close to being 18. I was very close to being a legal adult at the time. I'm going to vote at the end of the year. I was like, I'm going to do adult things. And I didn't know what to do. And that was just my first thing. And it was something I'd wanted for a while. I'd wanted to replace the bed I had since I was 6 or however old I was. I was like, I must have been 7 or 8. My mom will correct me when she hears this, but yeah, I had that bed for a long time. And it was one of those like loft beds where the desk is under and then the bed is on top. And I was like, I got to get rid of this because I couldn't even walk standing up under the desk or under the bed or anything. So yeah, I was like, all right, I need to replace this. I want a bed on the floor. So when I'm tired, I can just flop down. And so that was that. I was like, all right, then if I'm not doing anything, I'm going to do this. And then towards the end of that, somewhere along there, I don't really remember the whole process of it, but it was somewhere in there, my uncle asked if I wanted to, start working with them, kind of through other people talking to me about it. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds nice. If this is what I can do, like every day, like during, the pandemic and all that, like this would be something I would do. So yeah, so for 2 years I have been working on houses, and I've spent more of my life with my uncle and my grandpa than my parents probably in the last 2 years, and it's been pretty good. I enjoy it a lot, and I enjoy the people I work with, and I say that because I'm live on recording. But yeah, it's a good experience.
Neither your uncle nor your grandpa are listening to this.
No,
it's
probably
okay.
not.
Your mom might call them and tell them. I'm just kidding, Nate and John. You guys listen. We love you. Come on board. We should have John and Nate here. Would that be a good conversation?
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
It'd be something. You'd be surprised.
No, those guys are deep waters, both of them.
Yeah, but so that's pretty much from then up till now, and that's what I said in my low, is that's what I'm struggling with, is that now I have done that for 2 years, but it's not quite something where I can afford to move out, and it's not quite something where I'm necessarily struggling either. Like it's this weird middle ground where I've got more than enough, groundwork and stuff like that to stay where I'm at. And I don't quite have like enough under my feet to get out of my parents' house and go somewhere. So for the last couple months, that has like really been hitting on me, and I've been trying to figure some things out and sort through, what's next, or what's my next transition is the.
Mm-hmm. What are the kind of questions you're thinking through as you try to figure out what's next? I heard like kind of financial stuff, but what are you asking yourself or thinking about while you're trying to work through that?
Yeah. I think one of the big things, something that someone asked me recently, one of my friends, is because I talk about this to all of them all the time. I'm like, I got to do something. I've got to find something. They go, well, where are you going to move? I don't know. Out. Because
somewhere else.
Like, there's nowhere I could move that would be more beneficial, like location wise. It's more just the taking steps in my life to kind of further myself as an adult, I guess, is how I think about it. Mm-hmm. I just feel, whether my mom thinks so or not, I feel equipped to, I feel like I have enough knowledge and enough maturity to kind of start figuring some things out on my own and kind of move out from my life being kind of run by the people around me.
Kind of, you talking about that reminds me, what have some of these, like from high school into now 18 and up, now you're an adult or whatever, like what have some of these hard learning moments been in this awkward time of being an adult, I guess?
Yeah. Well, there's a weird dynamic when you become an adult and you have this power trip for a few weeks where you're like, man, I can do what I want.
I'm a man.
And then my mom goes, yeah, but you live under this roof. And that dynamic was so hard for a year at least. Now I just, sometimes when my mom's telling me to do something, or she still tells me to clean my room and all that, and I love her, and and I just have to go, okay, you're an adult. Maybe like I'm the age of an adult, but I still live here. God, there's boundaries. I gotta figure all that out. That was tough. That's one of the hardest things, because there's just so many things where like I just want to do what I want. I was like, I want my room to be my house. Like, knock, give me a lock, give me something. But that's not how it works. No. That's not real life.
Cole, as you're describing that sounds really similar to how I experienced college. So I graduated high school and then had a summer at home and then went off to college and then graduated solid college, went off to graduate school. But, college was a similar experience in that, I'm on my own and my family's in Virginia and I was in California. So for months on end, I'm a man. I can't grow a beard still. But like I can do whatever I want. I can, stay as late as I want, eat what I want. We had dorm checks. We had to clean our rooms every now and then. But then you go home for Christmas or home for Thanksgiving or home for the summer, and all that freedom is like, nope, you are a child again. And that happened, year after year. So you've kind of experienced 2 years like this. And for my experience, it was 9 months of total freedom, no parents. And then, holidays and summer just completely slingshotted the other way. And then the next year, do it all again. Yeah. And, I wish college even had, here's like just one lecture, or here's a seminar on how to go to college and how this, because everyone's doing the same thing and nobody prepared for it. And it was a really hard thing to go back home. And I hear you saying it's a really hard thing to stay home too. Yeah.
And I'm sure the contrast of that made it even harder, whereas having all that time of freedom, and then it's, just like, bam, you're back.
So I had the contrast, but I had the freedom, and you don't really have the kind of back and forth, but you don't necessarily you haven't really experienced I don't have mom and dad here.
Holy smokes, what am I going to eat for dinner? I haven't had that. Not that I've been looking forward to struggling for, what I'm going to make or eat. Because right now my menu of like things I can make is box like Kraft mac and cheese.
Oh yeah.
I can heat up chicken nuggets really well. I got really good at that.
Do you ever use an air fryer?
Nope.
Dang. We won an air fryer at a raffle. That's how you cook chicken nuggets.
Noted.
Never going back.
Noted.
You can come over anytime, cook chicken nuggets in my air fryer, Cole.
All right.
Anytime.
Yeah, so I'd say the whole freedom thing. It's like, you're an adult, but not quite yet. Like, there's still a few steps, and there's still a few I guess steps that I have to take to get to the point where it's, true freedom, or however you'd say it. I'd say another one of like the big learning experiences and big struggles I had from what you were asking, Shane, is the whole college premise and that whole ordeal.
Like the expectation that you just go to college and spend $200,000.
Yeah, I know. It was hard because a lot of people in my life that love me and care about me were, why aren't you going to school? Like, you know, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? Like, what are you going to get a degree in? What are you going to major in? And it was so hard to say, I don't know, or nothing every time, because it was it was just that, like, I don't know. It was hard. It was a whole nother thing that was, I think, completely un-COVID related that would have happened anyways, was me not going to school, especially since my, I like to think my skills and my expertise lies in more, like trade type of work. And so it was just kind of but do I need to go to school if I don't need it? And I hate school. And so it's kind of like, do I need to pay all this money to do more of that? And so, it was a whole thing. I ended up landing on, and what I still run with is that if there's something, and if I'm working my job and I want to move up, and it's like, oh, you need a degree for that, I'll go.
Sure.
But if I don't need it, I think I'm good for now. But that was hard. It's hard to like look people in the eye and that are like, have these like, oh, so where are you going? Yeah. Not, are you going?
Yeah. I'm not going to do the thing you expect me to.
Yeah. So it wasn't the, are you going to school? It was, where are you going to school? Like, about that. So that was a big one. That was tough.
I read a book recently. I can give you the recommendation later, but I'll say it quickly here on the air. Is a book called Shop Class as Soulcraft. Shop Class as Soulcraft, and it was written by, I can't think of the guy's name, but it originally was kind of a philosophy degree. He had a PhD. He was working at a government think tank, but he had a background in doing electrical wiring to kind of pay for his way through college, and he's like, that's way more satisfying. And so he left his like Georgetown PhD gig, whatever it was, and he like ended up opening a motorcycle shop, and he like repairs bikes. And he's like, this is awesome. I'm making as much money. I'm way happier. The world needs this. So if you read the book, by the way, it's not from necessarily a Christian point of view. There's some profane language in the book, but it's an outstanding book that says why. Yeah, just the very thing you're saying, Cole. Like we are not doing a service to our country or our people or the world by assuming this tract that everyone's just going to follow and is acting if there's sort of tiers to what your next step might be.
School aside, and like total, just run with this. So if in like 10 years. You could have any job and you could kind of live anywhere you want. And like perfect case scenario, imagine like 10 years down the line, where do you like wish you could be? And like, would you be doing? And like, where do you think you could be in life? Or,
oh boy,
maybe that's
I think Shane's looking for ideas, by the way. I don't know if he has a plan, so he's writing notes right now.
No. Shane, I don't know.
Yeah.
I cannot answer that question.
It's a great answer.
That is the question I ask myself often. It's a little bit easier for me to frame it that way because I can say, oh, well, I'd be fine doing this. I'd be fine doing that. I can't think of anything really that I'd say, oh, I'd love to be there in 10 years. I haven't really found that, but I found like, I'd be okay with this. I'd be fine with this. If that was the case, I'd be good with that.
Maybe I'll rephrase it then. Then where wouldn't you want to be in like 10 years?
Where wouldn't I want to be? Living with my parents.
Gotcha. All right.
The joke that I kind of run that I think my stepdad probably started is that what correct me if I'm inaccurate, but Jesus lived with his parents till he was 30, something like that. And he goes, well, be like Jesus.
You can do worse than being like Jesus.
Yeah. So, but no, I don't want to be there. I definitely want to have something I love and something I can enjoy. I really like the feeling of getting into something that I have to do. So it's like,
what do you mean have to do? Say that again.
Yeah. So, okay. Technically I don't have to do anything, but like when I'm at work, you know, and we're maybe, you know, or maybe if we've been doing something that I haven't loved, like concrete work, for example, concrete, I can't stand concrete. Anytime we mention concrete, I just, I dread it. But there's some things, and I think some of the best feelings is when we're working and I'm like, man, I could do this for hours. And it's stuff I enjoy, like a lot of finish work.
Yeah.
I really enjoy doing, and just like, you know, trimming places out and all that. I like, even if it runs past our usual 3:00 days over, I could just keep going without minding much. So I like that feeling a lot, and that's something I really want. And obviously with every job, there will be, you know, things you don't like or don't want to do. Every job has its concrete work. So
put very well.
Yeah. But I do, I guess, dream of being in a place where I can go, I can't wait to do this at work tomorrow. Or I can't wait to talk to so-and-so about this tomorrow. Or I want to be somewhere where I can be at least somewhat excited to go there.
Yeah.
You know, not just like another day of work, which will happen. But I do kind of dream of that, of, you know, getting into a job where maybe I have projects that I have to work on, and, you know, people that will kind of, I don't know, depend on me and my work, I guess, and give me a little, you know, something to be proud of, something I can, something I can like be like satisfied and happy with doing.
Yeah. Cole, that is a profound answer. No, I absolutely mean it. I think most of the adults I know are wrestling with that same thing, but maybe don't feel the same freedom to pursue it or make it happen. And I really will. I'm going to write down that book for you later, because I think it's on point. This a couple other thoughts I had about just the satisfaction part, which is so cool. Like, as you're describing finished work, you actually get to finish the work, and you can see your job well done. And if it's plumb and square and, you know, like, it's objectively good. Whereas, like, for Shane and me, we can do our best effort, and maybe some people like it, maybe some people don't. Like, maybe I felt good about it, maybe I felt bad about it, but, you know, there's very little that's objectively satisfying in what we do. And that's a really hard thing I'll speak for myself. That's a really hard thing in my job of I'm writing a message and I deliver it to the best of my ability. It could have been better. It could have been worse. Some people like it, some people didn't, but I can't just step back and say it meets every standard and it is objectively good and fulfills all righteousness as it was intended to be. Like I don't ever have that satisfaction. And that's a hard thing. I very rarely walk away knowing that it's everything it should be.
And then, well, are you talking about finding a job that's like or people want to find a job that's like all encompassing, sassifying. Like, this is the perfect job and this is everything I wanted. But I think, I really think like I don't think there is an objective right or wrong answer to it, but like, I think it's super profound what you're saying. Like, no matter what you do, there's going to be things in it that you're gonna drag along, and that's just part of it. Like, that's just work, honestly.
Yeah.
Every job has its concrete work.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just work.
Yeah.
And maybe life, by the way, isn't work. And if my whole meaning for life is what I'm doing vocationally for pay, then that ups the burden of that better be amazing. But maybe you do a good job and you clock out and you go home and you don't think about work and you enjoy your friends and family, and maybe that's really living too. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I and I know obviously everyone's looking for that job that's just perfect in every way, that job that doesn't exist, and it's just not gonna. And I'm just parroting like all my mom's wisdom right now, and these are all things that she has really driven into me in the last 2 years. When I come home from work and maybe I'm mad or I'm frustrated, like all we did was pave a driveway. So we did nothing. And she goes, yeah, that happens. She's in the line of teaching, and she works in a school district, and she says sometimes I have to talk to people, because she talks to people all day, and sometimes I have to talk to people I do not like, and sometimes I have to talk about them from when I get to work, or I have to talk to them from when I get to work and when I get off, and yeah, that is I do not dream of that profession, but it's how things are, because she and then she tells me, she goes, I love my job, and it's what she's really good at, and she's an organizer, so she's where she should be, but that doesn't mean that the perfect day is it might not ever come, because not every job is flawless, but still, I would like to search for something where I can find as much of that satisfaction as possible. Something where I can find as much interest, or even carry it outside of work. Like, for example, now, whenever I know we replaced all the trim in my mom's bedroom just on the side, and redid her bathroom a little bit. I don't remember how long ago, but that was something where I just roll out of bed, plug in the air compressor, and it's something I can do. It's something I can do at home now. One of my favorite ones is, I still don't know the story of how it happened, but one of our railings on our staircase was busted off. I just looked at it and was got in my car, went to Home Depot, everything I needed, and fixed the railing. And I was like, awesome. Yeah, look at that. That's really something.
Cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So just little things like that. I want a job with a lot of little things that I can appreciate. I really enjoy that feeling. And that's something I like about my current job. Yeah.
Wow.
Cole, this has been awesome. I don't plan on graduating from anything anytime soon. I'm not looking for new work. Although some people probably wish I was, but this has given me so much to think about. I mean, really, I mean that. Just thinking about, it sounds silly, but like meaning of life. I mean, really, like what is a good life? What is satisfaction? What is value? Where do I need to sort of suck it up and bear my cross and just pour the concrete? And where can I find joy and delight in my vocation and apart from education or career? One of the things at least my observation on this side of the table was when you talked about your time with friends and sharing faith and being real, like you lit up and your voice was warm, and like that sounded like living more than even if getting out of your parents' house or finding the right next step kind of professionally. Wherever those things sort out, you're living right now. I mean, that's, and I think all of our people are. I mean, so many people who are listening today are looking for that next thing, whether they're trying to buy a house or convince somebody to marry them or have a child or whatever that next thing is. Everyone is always looking for in the midst of that to say, but now today I'm living too. And this counts, this matters. Shane, any final thoughts as we sign off here?
So I say that really goes hand in hand with your devotional or message a little while back. Just like, where do we find joy? Like, it really just makes me think of that. Like, you're going to find that in your job, or you're going to find that through what? Like, that just reminds me of what you talked about recently.
Yeah, I have a couple final thoughts. Another highlight or like really big moments for me was there were a few times I think last summer, just kind of scattered throughout the year, where my entire family might have been like on vacation or something, and I was home alone. And I came to church all by myself.
I remember that. Cool.
And I sat in the front row all by myself, usually until my aunt or uncle were like, "Hey, come sit with us." But I'd get church and sit down in the front row, and I was like, I'm doing this because I want to.
Yeah, you owned it. I remember that very vividly.
This is great. Yeah, I was like, my parents aren't dragging me to church. I'm going to church. And it was just like a really big thing. But one of those sermons those days that I thought it was just so symbolic that my family didn't even hear it was just, and it's the sermon that has probably stuck with me more than anything I've ever listened to on a Sunday morning. Was the one day you even looked at me in the sermon. You said, life doesn't start when you're 20. My life doesn't start next year, and there's no waiting. Like, life is moving, life is now, and life is, and that's kind of my mindset now is I'm trying to okay, time's ticking and I want to go, so I'm going to go. And so, yeah, that's just me kind of figuring out what's next for myself and what's my next big steps. Is I will never forget and I'll probably say that for the rest of my life, and I'll probably say that to my children someday. It's just the life doesn't start next year. Yeah. I can't just go, well, I got a while before I'm old. I don't need a job now. It's no, why not? There's no reason to not start now. So
no reason to say when I'm older, when I'm in my late 20s.
Exactly. And I'll never forget that. And I'm not sucking up to you. I don't want anything. I'm just
we've got all kinds of free merch here. You can actually you can have this empty water bottle.
Exactly what I wanted. But no, I've really that just resonated with me so well.
I'm glad to hear that.
And it was just the fact that it was on a day where I had showed up of my own choice. My family wasn't there, and I was sitting in the front row still, our signature seat, all alone. And I was just hearing that, having nothing to focus on but, the words. And
it definitely gives you a new perspective too. Because I remember when I first, it's nobody's taking me to church today. Yeah. It's just, I got to wake up early and do it, make that decision myself. Yeah. It's a big moment, and glad it stuck with you.
Yeah, really did.
Cole, any final wisdom or last words?
That was my final wisdom.
All right, cool. Well, thank you for joining us today. This has been awesome. Those of you listening, thanks for listening. Those of you watching, thanks for watching. Shane, as always, it's been a lot of fun. We're working on our nonverbal communication as we stare at each other across the table, and we're figuring things out. Cole, I've known you a little bit for the past few years. I was waving to you in your graduation parade, as lame as it was.
That's right. I didn't even talk about
that. We drove the mile out of my neighborhood, and we made signs, and we stood there for a while, and my kids kept saying, "What are we doing out here?" And at some point among all these cars, we're going to know somebody driving by. And that was not a very convincing answer of why we stood there. But when they knew it was Cole, then they were in, and I actually got pictures of that. So, but today it's been really good to have more time for a conversation. So thanks for not just showing up today, but for showing up as you and being real. So that's what we're trying to do here at 2414 is have conversation that leads to more conversation that leads to more conversation. So if you're in the Seattle-Tacoma area, show up at St. Luke's on a Sunday morning, find the baptismal font, the big fountain in the front, sit in the front row, and that tall drink of water you're going to find is Cole Ashbaugh, and you too can meet him in the flesh and his beloved family that he's alluded to throughout the show. So that's it for today. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
That's the end of the episode, but we want to continue the conversation. Continue the conversation by sharing this episode, subscribing, or leaving a review. Connect with us on Instagram at 2414 Podcast. Connect with us through email at 2414@stlukes-church.com. Or best of all, keep the conversation going by inviting someone to process with you, so that you can each walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. If you happen to be in the Seattle-Tacoma area of Washington, stop by on a Sunday morning and say hi. 2414 is a podcast produced by St. Luke's Lutheran Church in Federal Way, Washington. To find more content, discover upcoming opportunities to connect in person, or to support the show, head on over to stlukes-church.com. Thanks for walking with us.